Hey guys, it's Amber. I'm back with another video. So, I thought what I would do is another paranormal video, talking about some more paranormal story times, because why not? I've got many. I'm sorry if you can hear anything in the background. It's just because they're installing BT next door, so there's a lot of banging. And I apologise for the state of my kitchen currently. But you know what? This is real life at the end of the day. So, my son is at nursery. I'm currently home alone. I've got myself a cup of coffee because it is early in the morning. So if you would like to join me with some coffee or tea, please feel free to get some. Yeah, so I thought I would do another 3 paranormal story times, just because I was like, why not, you know. It's also very cold in my house at the moment. This is why I am wearing my big fleece, which you would have seen me purchase in the Primark haul, and a hat, because my head is still nearly shaved. Well, actually, this is like a month's worth of growth, nearly. Yeah, it is. So it's getting there from the little baldy that I was. But it does mean that I need to wear a hat sometimes, because I either wear a wig or a hat if it's too cold. But yeah. So, yeah, I thought I would do 3 paranormal story times. In terms of my personal experience, these are some that I consider to be potentially paranormal. There could always be a reasonable explanation, which, to be fair, like, if anyone has an idea of why these things happened because they did, then that would be helpful to know what you would think, so let me know. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. So my first paranormal story time is a short one, and it involves a Ouija board. I will go get the said board. Hi! This is the said Ouija board. Yeah, it's actually a beautiful board. So that board was gifted to me by my boyfriend's mother, and she gifted it to me. And to be fair, she also had another Ouija board, which she also brought. And that one, when I held it, I was like, I'm not sure on the energy. But when I picked up this one, I was quite happy with the energy I felt with the board. So I brought it home, and the thing is, this board doesn't have a planchette. So immediately I was thinking, do I need to bind the board? But I didn't want to bind the board and piss off any spirits that might be residing around it or linked to it, because sometimes you can actually make things worse by closing it if you don't know what you're doing, or if you don't have the right information. So you could be literally stirring a pot that just didn't need to be stirred by binding, saging, or closing it if you don't have the correct information about the board. However, I'm no full expert, so please don't come for me. This is just something that I've learnt myself from experience and research. This board, I decided that I wasn't going to bind it, and I wasn't going to close the board or find a way to close it because it didn't have the planchette, just purely because the energy was really good. I didn't feel any negativity from it. I didn't feel anything threatening from it. I didn't feel like anything was like not quite right. My partner, on the other hand, was freaking out, but he doesn't really like anything that's like too spooky, so I put it down to that. He didn't really want to be around the board to begin with, but I think he's gotten used to it. But yeah, so we basically had the board, brought it home. Nothing happened like for the first few nights, and to be fair, nothing has really happened since. It's just this one thing, and this is why it's a very quick paranormal story time, which is just, you know, again, it could be just this house. This house is very, very old, and I don't know, you just never know. But we were sat in the lounge, and the Ouija board was perched on the windowsill by the radiator, and next to this radiator where the board was is a display cabinet, and I had all of my witchy items in there, everything that I really like that's like spooky or macabre or just something that's very, you know, unusual. And so my plan was to put the board eventually in there once I found space and like made or rearranged the items. So I just perched it next to it, and on top of this cabinet was a bit of a dumping ground because, you know, we've all got them. And there was 3 empty bags that had been there for months, like absolute months. And I still don't understand how this happened, right? But we were just sat watching telly, as you do, and the next thing, one of the bags that has been there for months, no one's touched it. The boys are too small to reach up there. Jay's got no business being up there because it was just like bags that was gonna hold, like they're like the shopping bags, like the proper sturdy shopping bags that you can buy and reuse. It was just perched in its position there for a while because it did used to hold Christmas presents. And it just decided, the one bag just decided to just fall off, hit the floor. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Jay was freaking out. He instantly blamed the board. Oh, I don't know why my head looks a bit weird like that. Yeah, he instantly blamed the Ouija board. I was not really sure what to think because I was like, oh, okay, there's no breeze. We don't have the front door open. I mean, the position it was in a corner anyway, so it would have been very difficult for anything to really knock it off if it was a breeze, considering it was so high up as well because the cabinet is very tall. So I decided that I was just going to ignore it because that's what I tend to do when things happen that I can't explain, and move on with my life. But yeah, that is the first that was the first paranormal story time. I put it down to paranormal just because I can't find a reasonable explanation for it. If someone had gone up in that cabinet area and if someone had been playing around with the bags, which no one had, I would put it down to the bag being moved, being put back and in a position where eventually it would fall off. But those bags had been there for months, untouched, just living their lives up there, and then one day one decided to just fall down randomly, kind of with force. So I was like, okay, something in the house is wanting my attention. I'm going to gracefully decline right now. And I'm, never really thought of it again until now. And we did just put it down to potentially the Ouija board, but because we ignored it, nothing else has ever happened since to do with the Ouija board. It's just living its life, being its beautiful self. So, yeah. Anyway, my second paranormal story. I need a drink, hang on. I'm so sorry if you can hear people. Like I said, they're installing BT next door, and I think they're literally right outside the door, the kitchen door. Yeah. So my second paranormal story time actually involves me in my old house, well, my mum's old house that I used to live in. This was probably about, I would say 5 years ago. And this one really, really just like messes with my mind because I just don't understand. I just don't understand how this happened. I really don't. So basically, I'm going to take my hat off because I'm warm now. My hair's crazy. It's all fluffy. It's in the fluffy mode. I really don't understand how this happened. But basically, my mother's house, I had quite a few experiences in that house. Put it down to just, very active sometimes in that house, not very active sometimes in that house. There was kind of dips. And basically what happened was I had a old BlackBerry white phone, which used to be my mother's phone. And that phone, I mean, I'm not the best person with phones. Like they tend to like have electronic faults with them very easily. I don't know why. My phone, all my phones always end up either electronically having an issue or I just end up breaking them by accident because I can be quite clumsy sometimes. Touch wood though, grown out of that habit. Yeah. So, but my old BlackBerry white phone was out of use. I dropped it one too many times and it just decided to not work. And at that time in my life, I used to have to get up very, very early in the morning. So the alarm on that phone, I used to set it for about 5 a.m. in the morning. And then I don't know how long a gap it was between me putting that phone away to getting to this paranormal incident that I class as paranormal. It must have been a good few months. Like, basically, the phone broke, died. I put it away in a shelf somewhere, intending to get rid of it, in the kitchen, got a new phone, and for a good year it was sat there, basically. I think it was just sat there chilling. So I can't remember the exact timeline, but I just know that phone was just sat there chilling in the cupboard shelf thingy of the kitchen for a very long time. And when I had that phone, I used to have an alarm on there that would wake me up early, because at the time of having that phone, I had to get up very early for work. So fast forward to me living my life. There's been a few different paranormal incidents leading up to this one, which is why I class it as paranormal. Also, I can't explain it, basically. And so yes, one morning I'm by myself. My mother and my stepdad are somewhere on holiday, I think, and I'm in the house by myself with the dogs, because they had dogs. And I'm, doing my thing, wake up, and I can hear something downstairs, and I'm like, okay, what's that sound? That sounds very familiar. Creeping downstairs, I can hear an alarm coming from the kitchen, and I'm like, is my phone downstairs? Not really registering that this isn't the same alarm as my current alarm on my new phone. And I'm like, what? I'm so confused, because it's very early in the morning, because the sound has woken me up. And I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. So I go downstairs, creep my way into the kitchen, and I can hear coming from the cupboard drawer of where that phone is, that has not been alive since it broke, the alarm going off at 5:30 in the morning. And the weirdest thing to me was I went over to this phone, and it still had all the cracks in the screen where I dropped it way too many times. The actual screen itself wasn't working. The battery had died in that phone, and for some reason this alarm was going off at 5:30 in the morning. Explain that to me, please. Explain that to me. And that was leading up to many paranormal experiences. So I instantly freaked out, and I took the battery out of the phone, and it did stop. So there must have been some sort of life in there from the battery. I don't know, maybe something zapped it and it was like, wow, I'm wide awake. But what would have zapped it to do that? I don't know. And I basically chucked it on the floor in horror, and then I threw it in the bin. Because I was so freaked out. I just can't explain it. I don't understand how a phone that's been sat in a drawer for over a year, dead, not working, suddenly comes back to life one morning in some random month and decides to scare the living SH1T out of me, basically. Because that to me is I just don't understand it. So please, if anyone has a normal explanation for that, I would welcome it completely. That would be great. Just let me know. Put me a comment down below. Message me. I don't know. Just tell me exactly what you think if you don't think it's paranormal. Prove it to me. Because I'm very, very happy to find any logical explanation apart from, well, yeah, any logical explanation, really. So that was my second paranormal story time. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm so ill. I don't know why I've decided to do this today of all days when they're installing BT. This is my third cold in a row from freaking October. What is the world coming to, people? What is the world coming to? So my third paranormal story time involves a psychic. Basically, I have been to a fortune teller twice, and they have correctly predicted my fortune. He's very good. And I've gone to Cardiff, basically, for these readings twice before. And this fortune teller is located in Cardiff Market, with a little, he's kind of got like a little cubbyhole style room, that holds a very old table. They can read your tarot, read your palm, all of that type of just light stuff. Anyway, the first time I go there, I'd been experiencing quite a few paranormal things following me around, so it's not out, like, I'm kind of used to it at this point. Sometimes I pay attention to it. When I'm not really feeling it, I don't. You know, it depends what type of energy and mood I'm in. So I went to this fortune teller, and I just found it very, very interesting. This is kind of a short story time, but again, I do find it particularly peculiar. I went with my friend, and I decided to go in after her. So she was waiting outside, and I went in, and I was having my fortune read, and my granny came through, and she was giving me a yellow rose. And I was like, okay, you know, cool, thanks. And all of a sudden, the door that leads to the cubbyhole and room and outside, there's 3 distinct bangs on the door, like bang, bang, bang. And this guy's daughter, who's actually giving me the reading this time, just goes, oh, sorry, just a second, thinking it's a customer or someone needing to come inside, opens the door, looks outside, and is like, no, okay. Looks to my friend and said, did someone just knock on the door? She was like, no. And I know my friend wouldn't do this. She's not that type of person to play a prank or play a joke, because, you know, I feel like someone might instantly be like, oh, it was your friend. She's not that type of person. I have friends who I would definitely feel like would play a trick on me or as a prank, but she is not that type of person. She was like, no one banged on the door. And what's even more peculiar is she didn't hear it. It was just the fortune teller and me heard the bang, bang, bang on the door, on like the door that people walk through to get into the room. And any person who was outside that door would have heard it, because they were 3 loud bangs. So, and I mean, the door shook. It just does not make any sense. So yeah, that is my 3rd paranormal story time. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll probably do some more of these. I want to try and upkeep a good schedule, but at the moment I've got so much going on that these videos are going to be very few and far between, but I am enjoying making them. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know anything that you'd like to see in the comments. Let me know your opinions on these paranormal story times. But yes, thank you so much for your time, and I hope wherever you are, you're having a brilliant evening, morning, afternoon, night. I love you, bye.